Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is doing okay. We have made it past the halfway mark this week. Uh, Hopefully, some of you have made some noticeable and some progress that you can mark, that you can literally look at and measure and see. Others of you are going to say, maybe I had a couple of setbacks this week. Some of you are going to say, I feel like I'm stagnant and stuck. Whatever you're at, your mindset is what's important. Whether you've made progress, whether you have had some setbacks, whether you are feeling like you're not getting anywhere, your mindset is key, because how you perceive this condition that you're in, and that's what you're dealing with each and every day, is a new condition, a new situation, a new set of circumstances. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in their quest to pursue something or to become better or to create a better situation for themselves is to identify with the situation, with the condition, with the circumstance. And circumstances are periodical, circumstances are incremental, circumstances are evolutionary, they're changing every day. And you can see the greater changes when you have a perspective that produces a significant and greater change. It is not, you cannot sit up and identify with a situation or reality and expect anything different than the reality, because the more you identify with it, the more you think about it. The more you think about it with it, the more you mask. I'm going to do a real quick disclaimer. Have one of my grandsons here, so anything goes right now. It's the life of a grandparent. It's the life of family, and so I have to get some things done. One of these videos is part of that, and I'm going to get it done to the best of my ability. But my little man's is in here. He's doing good now, but he's used to being able to get Papa's attention and Nana's attention whenever he wants it, and so he might just pop in here, and we're going to have to deal with it. That being said, let's keep it moving. Look, before I forget, if you have not ordered done your pre-order on the future release, which is coming up this month, the future release of I Am, which is my 21st book and the second book in a 6-book series, you need to do it now. Not only will you get the discount on the book, but you're going to also get a free breakthrough session with yours truly. And we're going deep with I Am. I Am is about declaration. I am is about the power of these 2 words, I am, to declare your destiny and your future. You're literally speaking in a form of self-talk. What you see about yourself and how you see yourself is dictating how you're going to perform. And because remember, God meets you at the level of your expectations. That God has designed the universe to respond to your faith, and your expectations are an expression of your faith about your life, how you engage the world, how the world engages you, how much power you have, or how much you feel you lack. And so that's extremely important. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about this mindset of how you do things, how you engage things. One of the things that people ask me a lot is, how do I create my own business? Everybody's talking about owning your own business. Everybody's talking about starting a business, being an entrepreneur, being able to go out into the market and make something. But what if you're not marketable? Here's the thing. I don't care who you are and where you're at in life. If somebody has hired you and paid you to do something, you have marketability. Now, the thing is, the confidence in what you are in your marketability, the confidence in your skill set, the confidence in your expertise, and the demand for what it is that you're doing is going to dictate your value in an industry. So when people are saying, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, well, it's not being an entrepreneur isn't about what you have or what you start. It's about how you think. It's about how you see the world around you. It's about a willingness to engage life from a different perspective. It is so much more mental than it is physical. you got entrepreneurs in ways that most people don't see entrepreneurs. You know, from the little kid with the lemonade stand to the Girl Scouts that are pushing Girl Scout cookies at every freaking grocery store in America right now. That's entrepreneurship at a level. That's saying, I'm going to take my destiny in my own hand. I'm going to get a product, whatever that product is, a product or a service, and I'm going to present it to other people and have them pay me for the product or service. Now, there may be an independent person. A lot of people are entrepreneurs because they sell other people's products. Most cell phone stores are independent stores or independent agents that have been licensed to sell a product for Verizon, for AT&T, for Sprint, for T-Mobile, and all of that. But you've made a decision that you're going to put your hat in the game. But where it starts at is somewhere a little bit more intimate and closer home. And what that is an understanding of your value. Most people don't have an understanding of their value. Most people allow other people to set their value. And when you go and you are hired, what that does is it sets a value. If you get a job making $50,000 a year, you've allowed that employer to set your value. And now what you do for that employer is set at that value. And the thing is, as you have others set your value, your subconscious mind can't help but to tally that value and start to associate with it. And so then when you later on decide, okay, I've done this, I've done that, and now I'm ready to move on and do something else, probably a little more independent, you find it hard to shake, man, you know, that number, because it's been set in your mind subconsciously that that's what you're worth. And you won't go out and apply. You won't even go out and apply for a job that's $20,000 more a year than what you're making. Very rarely will you get people what they're going to look for something within $4,000, $5,000, one way or the other of what they're currently making, because the value has been subconsciously imprinted in their mind. And you have to work your way around that. What I tell people when they ask me, how do I start something that's mine, that I can earn a living with? And actually, there's this real simple blueprint. Now, there is a difference between simple and easy. Simple doesn't always equate to easy. And when it comes to doing anything in a way that can be considered exceptional, it's never going to be easy. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take courage. It's going to take a willingness to be able to go through some things and take some punches, fall down, get up, scrape your knees, wipe yourself off, dust yourself off, pick yourself up, keep going. It's that. I have never achieved anything in this life that I can look at and say it's worth having. I mean, something significant with longevity that came easy. There was always, first of all, a commitment. Second of all, a state of inexorability, meaning that I refuse to give up. I'm not quitting. I'm relentless. And a willingness to learn on the go. In other words, sometimes you learn that wasn't the best way to do that. And so you go back and the next time you do it better. And then you have to be open to mentorship and teaching and talking to people. This journey hasn't been easy, this up and down thing. And that's the other thing. Just because you get in and you do well for a while doesn't mean you're not going to have moments where things aren't what they used to be. That's a part of life. You're on this continuum in life. In this continuum, you're going to have moments where you're making great progress. You're going to have moments where it slows down. You're going to have moments where you take a few steps back. That's where that 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing comes from. It's a part of the continuum. There's never such thing. There's no such thing as this steady pace and it's just moving. Everything's great. That looks good and it sounds good, but on paper, it's great. But what happened is that's not how it happens in life. Life always has things coming at you that you weren't expecting. Life always has situations in which you look at, hey, what's going on, Ontario? Hey, Tia. Look, you always have things where things could be better. Here is the thing I want you to understand. Here's this real simple equation. The equation is this. In order to have value to be an entrepreneur, and meaning, in other words, I'm going to go into the world. I'm going to establish my space in a market. Now, it's all about market share in business. You go into a market, and there are going to be other businesses established in that market, and you have to find a way to achieve or assume a portion of that market share. And so that's competition. What another thing that can happen, which is great, and where a lot of people are hitting major financial gains right out the box, is in creating a market that does not exist yet, where you are the leader in the market, you are the pioneer in the market, you came up with the market, or you shifted the dynamic of a market, meaning you changed how people view it. And so now you really control how people will compete for a part of that market share because you set the model up. But how it all starts is this. You look at yourself, and in yourself, I don't care who you are, what background you came from, how much hell you had to go through as a child, what kind of financial education you have to this point, what your past employment history looks like. I don't care anything. You have a genius inside of you. You have a gift inside of you. I don't care what your educational level, there's a gift and a genius inside of you. There is something that you were given in your design that makes you special. Very few people actually tap into it because most people are being told what they're going to do from an early age on, and they're always trying to fulfill the demands and the desires of someone else in their life. And so most people don't know what they're great at. Most people don't know what they're passionate about. Why? Because they've been told this is what you need to do, or this is what you can do. Never let somebody tell you what you can or cannot do, first of all. Second of all, search yourself. Find out what you're just naturally gifted at. What do you love to do? What, if you can still away, if you're in a job that you don't like, let's start there. If you're in a job that you don't like, if you're in a job that you're just there because it pays the bills and it takes everything in your power to get up every morning and go to work because the bills have to be paid, ask yourself, if the bills were paid, what would I be doing instead of this? When you can steal away from your financial demands for just a day, what's the first thing that pops in your mind that you want to do? And start to search how that is. What is it that you do real easy? It just comes to you and you're good at it, and people compliment you on it. You know, they talk about how good at it. Not anything, it doesn't have to be anything along conventional lines. So the first thing people try to do is put their vision inside the box of conventionality because they want people to be able to understand it, see it, and believe in it. The only person that has to believe in you is you. Now, it helps when you have other people who can see your potential and believe in you, and that comes after you believe in yourself. After you determine, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm capable of, and I'm going after it no matter what anyone says. And here's the thing. Sometimes you're going to be off the mark. Sometimes what you think it is you should be doing, it's not. And you're going to go out there and you're probably going to stumble and fall. But you went after it. And what that's going to do is put you closer to the true discovery. But what happens is most people are afraid of falling. Most people are afraid of failing. Most people are afraid of bumping their heads. So they stay in this little corner of comfort and they self-sabotage over and over and over again. Here's what happens. And these are some of the instances I'm about to give you are actually from clients I've worked with. I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to be too specific so nobody will know where they are. But okay, you got one person. They wake up every morning. They go to a job they don't like. But before they do, they get up. They get everybody in the house straight. They go off to work. Female goes off to work to a job they don't like. That takes so much out of them. They come home, take care of the kids, do everything they need to do, and walk by a husband that may or may not acknowledge them, get in a bed, and the more they do it, the less energy they have to do it. So they decide, I need to do something to improve my energy. Just out the blue, they decide, you know, I need something to improve my energy. I need something to improve my stamina. So they decide, I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to get off of all of the stuff that creates inflammation. I'm gonna get off all the stuff that creates toxicity in my body. I'm going to do a lot better. And within a matter of a couple of weeks or so, they start to feel great. They start to live alive. They start to look. But guess what happens right then and there? There's this psychological dynamic at play. And this is why people sabotage and always go for the comfort thing. Here's the thing. At a certain point in this new lifestyle they're creating, they get excited. This is what it's about. This is how I feel. But then they look back at the life that they're starting to separate themselves from, And so much of what they identify with is still there. You got a husband that, you know, obviously the marriage isn't what it used to be because he's not giving you the attention that you want. And you know, and maybe it's because some things is going on with them, or maybe because you're not the person visually or emotionally or psychologically they got with. And that can go both ways. It could just be that person, or it could be a combination of things. But anyway, that's going on. Kids don't really appreciate you. You hate your job, but it's what you identify with. Well, the one thing that happens is when you just start putting so much stock in the current situation, it makes you make a choice subconsciously. See, when I'm starting to do something new in my life, it's going to immediately raise me to a new level where I'm not close to things I used to be close to. And it's uncomfortable because the things that I care about are also in that life. My children, my husband, you know, my home. But what if me becoming this new person pulls me further away from them? Wow. So now subconsciously you start to dial back. And without even thinking about why you do it, you stop eating good. But subconsciously, what you're doing is protecting what you are afraid to leave. And what that means is the pain of where you're at has not gotten to the point where it's exceeded the level of fear about where you're going. And most people stop there. Another situation is, and I got this, and you've probably heard me tell this one before, had a guy come, man, I really, really, really want to work on my marriage. You know, it's struggling. I want to be a better husband. I want a better marriage, blah, blah, blah. So we sit down and we talk for maybe 30 minutes, and it becomes obvious one of the reasons why his marriage is struggling. He spends more time after work with his boys than he does with his wife. So I tell him, you've got to stop that. You've got to stop that. And he's going, okay. So he goes back and he comes back, you know, a month later. And he says, I don't hang out with the boys. Maybe I did twice this month instead of 3 or 4 times a week. I only did it twice this month. And she's still not upset. I mean, she's still upset with me. She's still not feeling me. And I said, well, let's talk about it. But the more I talked to him, I found out why she wasn't feeling him, even though he was giving her time. In his mind, he still believed that hanging with his boys was not only something he loved to do, he should have a right to do it. He's the provider. He's the person that's working every day. I should be able to hang out with my boys. His mindset was messing with the reality of what he needed to do from a responsibility perspective. And so I told him, I said, no, you need to want to spend more time with your wife than it is your boys. Not something is, just imagine you're with her, but she can sense that you have some animosity and hostility, and that you're doing it out of obligation instead of desire. And that's not how women respond to that. She wants you to want to be there. And so his whole thing is he was about to self-sabotage. He was about to look up and think, my boys are gonna be mad, I'm gonna lose my boys. So until the point got to where losing his marriage, the idea of losing his marriage was more painful than the perspective of moving into a situation where his wife became his number one and his boys were secondary. Once that pain got big enough, and I explained to him what that looked like, you know, because what your boys will have you out hanging with them until they get married. And then you trying to get them out, and they smart enough to stay their behinds at home. And you can go on. What happens is simple. Until you get to a point to where you are at is more painful than the fear about where you're going, you're going to always try to relieve the pain. And you're going to always try to get comfortable back in the situation. But here's how you do it. Once you look at yourself and you say, okay, hey, I'm gifted at this. And the next thing is, okay, once you find out what you're gifted at, how can I use that to provide a solution to an existing problem that a certain group of people have? It could be weight loss. It could be nutrition. It could be clothing. It could be, setting up unique travel experiences. It could be anything that you love doing and get a real kick out of. And it's a need for it. So in other words, I love problem solving, but you can also get into demand. It may not actually solve a problem, but it may meet a demand. The problem is demands shift. People want this now, but then the next trend, you want something else. The need is always going to be there to solve the problem. And as long as it's people with that particular problem, you've got customers. Okay, so the first thing you do is you understand your gift and how it serves a purpose in solving a problem for a specific group of people. And then once you understand what that is, now you have to understand the need to provide the service at the highest level of quality possible in engagement, in product, in delivery of service, in responsiveness. All of these things are extremely important. You want your level of attention to make your client feel like nobody else has ever treated me this way. Nobody else has shown the level of detail that this person has shown to meeting my need in this area. This is extraordinary. That's the kind of level you want. So you want to be able to solve a problem, solve it at a high level. Now here's where it really gets good. You want to use the uniqueness of your gift, your personality, your mindset of how you view the world to deliver your particular solution in a way that it's difficult to copy. Why is that important? Because when you deliver it in a very unique way that's directly connected to your inherent makeup, it's hard to copy. And what does that mean? It's hard to replace you. That when you make yourself almost irreplaceable, I never say totally irreplaceable, because that's not a place you can be. You can always be replaced, but it may not be able to replace you with someone that can do it exactly and as good as you do it. If you're in your zone, being you, nobody can do it like you do. Now, once you get all those three better, not only do you have a market, you have longevity, and you have the ability to write your ticket, because the more rare it is to find someone that can deliver the service you're delivering, the bigger the ticket. Because if nobody else can do it, you got to pay me what I say I'm worth. I'm writing the value. Nobody's giving me the value now. I don't care what Johnny John charging down the street to do what he do. Johnny John is not me. And so you write the ticket. And, you know, and I'm telling you, I've written some pretty big tickets for things that I do. And it was in the belief of the value that I was bringing to the market. And the thing is, yes, here's the thing. We're going to go back and kind of talk about how you have to be able to look at the possibility of pain of where you're at versus the fear of where you're going and what might happen. See, one thing that happened with me is certain things I did, because there were already value models. When I did it, I already knew, okay, I can charge this and people will pay for it, because people were paying other people similar prices. But then when you start to create something real unique in a unique niche for yourself, then you say, okay, I'm going to set a price based off of a certain amount of things. Number one, my time is always going to demand a minimum. And so at the minimum, it's going to be whatever my time is per hour. And I always operate off a 1 hour minimum. I don't care how much it is. Okay, so now I've got that. Now, what else am I bringing to the table besides my time that adds value to that? And then you get to going and you get to going and you come up with a price. Now, there were times when I come up with a price and there wasn't any other model for it, because I had come up with the idea. And then that's when that figure, man, nobody's going to pay you for that amount of money for that. That's unheard of. But what I was able to do was believe in myself enough to say, I can justify the value. And something my grandfather told me a long time ago, a guy with a second grade education, but very powerful, owned his own business. And my grandmother owned her own salon, her own hair salon for decades, and retired for a year retired for a year in 1976, and went back and didn't leave the next time until she was 93 years old, right before she passed away. Just working because she was passionate about it, not because she had to. Everything was paid for. They were living and everything was paid for. Plus they had money coming in from what they had done. She didn't have to work. It was something she loved to do. She loved sitting up talking to people while she was in their head. And it's crazy, but I got that. But here's the thing. When I'm sitting there and I'm trying to determine, what I'm charging and the value is okay, this is what came to me, and I had to understand it. That the people that I may have been dealing with in this particular endeavor probably won't pay me that. But what I'm delivering here there's a market for it, and it's going to be some people I probably haven't dealt with. And there are things right now that the average person is not going to pay me. And I'm okay with that. You are never going to take up a whole market because the market is too diverse. There are people who want something inexpensive. And if you're a volume person, that you got something you can produce for a little amount of money and you can do it in volume, those are the people that you're going to target. But then there are certain people that want something highly specific, highly unique, and of the greatest quality, and they're willing to pay a premium. There are not that many of them, but you don't need that many because the ticket is so large. You're not going to get your money in volume. You're going to get your money by delivering to specific people who can see the value in what you do. And you have to make it. The one thing that I love about it, if it's going to require my time, I want premium tickets. Because I want premium tickets because I only have so much time. And I want the most for my time, so I'm going to go with the premium side of things. There's nothing wrong with volume if you can mass produce it without using your time. And there are ways to do that. And there's all these different routes. But the bottom line is, when you discover your passion and your talent and your gift and your genius, and then you come up with a way that that genius can serve a particular group and solve a problem or meet a demand, you're in business. People will pay for what they need. A lot of people pay for what they want. Here's something else. Don't go out and create a product or a service and then try to come up with somebody to sell it to. That's a mistake people make. People look at something and say, man, this would be an awesome idea based on what you're thinking. And you create it and it may be great, but now you got to go out and create a market for it. You don't want to create a market for something. You want to discover markets that are untapped, but you don't want to go out and try to say, okay, I made this, now I got to make some people want to buy it. That's a hard way to do things. Go out, find a market where there's a demand. Do some research, run some tests. These social media platforms are built for testing markets, finding out what people want, engaging individuals and getting them to tell you what they like, what they need, what they want, how they want it, when they want it. Social media is trained for that. It's the most effective model thus far in marketing. That's why you've got multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar businesses putting 90% of their marketing spend in social media. Why? Because it's so powerful. Think, any other form before you had social media, anytime somebody came and tried to sell you something, it became annoying the more they tried. You get tired of seeing a commercial after so many times. And a commercial was considered, in conventional terms, unintrusive based on somebody calling you on a cold call. But even a commercial, you get tired of it popping up over and over again. Now, it's still having its impact because it's setting a subliminal imprint in your brain that if you see it enough, whenever you need whatever it is on that commercial, that's going to come to your mind and you're going to move on it. It's not about immediate. Most marketing isn't about immediate drive. It's about setting planting a brand into the mind of someone at a level that when they want it, that's what they think about. Probably McDonald's is the best at it. But in essence, what you're trying to do is create a market in a market that exists but not tapped or not totally saturated. You don't have to go in and compete in a market where it's a bunch of other people competing. That's like so draining. That's so much you got to trust. You got to go so hard to prove you're better than the next person. Well, when you really look in that market, there's a group of people in that market that need what that market provides, but they need it in a way that's real specific that they can't really just nail down and get in one place. When you find that, you create that, now you're in the market, but you're in a sub-market, a niche in that market that nobody else is serving. And you've now created that opportunity. And how you serve people, if you serve them well, if you meet their demands, if you meet their needs, if you remain attentive, you don't treat it as a cash grab, if you treat it as a long-term endeavor, you'll find yourself building, because everything with long-term business is about business to client or business to customer relationships. A Acquiring customers is actually not that hard. Keeping customers is what keeps businesses open and what drives longevity and what is most challenging, because it's always something popping up that's vying for the attention of a client. But when you establish a relationship with the client outside of the buying process and also throughout the customer lifespan, and what that means is a customer lifespan starts the moment that they find interest in what you're selling. It goes through the process of them vetting. It goes through the process of them buying. It goes through customer relationship and customer relations and support after buying. It goes into any other inquiry within the brand, and then it cycles back to they buy again. And that's the lifespan of a customer. Well, what you want to do is you want to create customer loyalty, and you don't do that just by selling them something they love, just by getting them something to solve that problem. You do it by building a relationship. Social media allows you to build relationships in the most seemingly unintrusive way. While it is highly intrusive, social media has trained everybody on it that when somebody posts something, you comment on it. If somebody asks you a question and it's in an area you're interested in, you post a comment. All you got to do is think about what it is you're selling, go out and ask a simple question about it that is going to draw the interest of the people who find that interesting, and they will come tell you what they want in it, how they want it, whatever it is. You look at it and say, I'm going to go create this. You go over here and create it. There are ways that if it requires money, you can literally do what's called a seed launch. You can actually get people to pay for it before you actually produce it and then come back and give it to them. There's no such thing as there isn't any capital. No, there isn't enough creativity. It's unlimited. I can't express this enough. It's unlimited. Here's the thing though. When something's unlimited, when something has opportunity, it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it happens overnight. What it means is that if you are persistent and you stay the course and you work the plan and you learn from your mistakes, you are making progression and you're growing in it. If it's something worth building, it's something worth being persistent in. It's something worth taking an inexorable stand and saying, I am not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to push it through. And that's where it begins. It's about understanding the value in yourself. If you see the value in yourself, stop waiting on somebody else to set your value. You know, stop waiting on somebody else to tell you, well, we'll pay you this. Stop waiting on somebody to say, man, we could really use you in here. Start understanding the value you bring to the market. I tell people all the time, okay, you know, they're talking about, well, you know, I make 6 figures where I work. Great. Here's the thing, and this is how I've always think, this is how entrepreneurs think. If your employer is paying you 6 figures, how much do you think they're making off of you? Do you actually think they're paying you what you're earning them? Now, you got to do the mathematics. You have to understand business. If you're working for a major corporation or company that's paying you 6 figures, they have the capacity from a capital perspective, from a strategic an infrastructure perspective, to leverage what you bring to the table and make more with it than you could by yourself. That's going to be normally the case. If you're working for a company, they're going to automatically, by their brand, be able to bring you more opportunities to make them money, because the brand recognition brings the clientele, and you will not have that immediate brand recognition. But when you step away from it, I guarantee you, if you put the work in that you're putting in, if they're paying you $100,000, they're making at least $1 million off of you, at least. Okay, so now you sit up and say, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna create my own brand. I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm gonna get my own clients. You can't get the clients at the level they were putting them into you because you don't have the brand recognition. But I guarantee you'll be able to make at least $250,000, $300,000, and you will make more. You will have the freedom of being your own boss. You will have the freedom and liberty to move about, make decisions, and then do other things. It will free you up to be in control of your life. It's so much more to it than just simply saying, I'm a boss. It's so much more to understand it. And don't get me wrong, I am not marginalizing or are downplaying holding a job. Some people are best suited for jobs. Some people, the job is what you need right now. Some people, the job is the first step to the next step. Have a vision of what you want your life to look like and ask yourself, can your job produce that for you? Now, here's the trick. Don't shrink your vision and tame your dreams to find the purpose and the depth of what your job can do for you. That's going to be the first thing you do, is you're going to look at the most you can get out of the job, and then you're going to shrink everything you want to fit into it. No. Come up in your mind with the life you want. Don't hold back nothing. It's in there because you've been thinking about it since you were a kid. It's in there. You've tamed it. Take the leash off. Open your mind up and ask yourself, how far will this job get me? And if the job can't get it all and you can't enjoy the job, my thing is, if you wake up every day, some people literally got their dream job and somebody else is paying them to do what they love to do anyway and paying them well. There are professions that do that. And if that's the case, if you love waking up every day and going and doing what you're doing and you have no long-term pressure, everything is going to come with some stresses and some strains and in time. I don't care how many companies you own and how well they're doing. It's going to come. Matter of fact, what I can tell you is the more companies you own and the more things you're into that you're responsible for, you're going to have just the stresses of understanding that you're going to have people that work for you that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. You got stuff that should have went on the day that didn't. You fixing and putting out fires, but there's something about putting out your own fires that can't be compared. I mean, that putting out somebody else's fires can't compare to. I deal with the problems that go along with my business with a big old smile on my face because it's mine. And sometimes I'm looking up and there are cash flow issues because I done stuck my hand in so many different things and there's so much demand for capital that there are cash flow issues. And most people are like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? Shoot, I'm gonna work it out. I've got all this stuff going on. The money's there, I just gotta figure it out. My goal isn't to go splurging with money right now. My goal is to build an empire that I leave to my family. I've lived that life. I tell people all the time, the first half of my life was about me, doing me. Going where I want to go, buying where I want to go, drive what I want to do, all that stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I still so empty on the inside? Why is it that I literally have everything that I ever imagined and then so much more, and I'm empty on the inside? I wake up every morning, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, can't go back to sleep, anxious, just looking for something, trying to serve something to myself that's going to take it away. And I found out it wasn't in serving myself that it could be removed. It was in serving others. And that's why I tell people all the time, the first half was about me. The second half is about my legacy. And when you're thinking legacy, how you handle money is different. How you engage your business is different. While cash is necessary, it's not the first thing that comes through my mind. What am I delivering? What am I doing? How am I impacting the world around me? How am I making those around me better? How am I inspiring those who want to do better for themselves? What am I bringing to the world outside of what I'm getting from myself? I let the money take care of itself. And I'm telling you, it's not easy like that. When I was all about the dollar, I could think profit first, and that wasn't a cash flow problem. But that was a fall off in my emotional stability, fall off in my mentality, my psychology, my spirituality, and I was suffering. So that's that. I just wanted to take a little time to kind of share that with you, talk to you. There's so much more into it than this. But like I said, it starts with knowing your own value. Not having somebody dictate it to you, not having somebody tell it to you. Your value is so much worth. It's worth so much more than what you can see on any type of sheet paper, any type of stat sheet, any type of anything. You've got to see it in yourself first. And the way that I tell people to judge value is in simply looking at their lives through the eyes of God. God established your value before you were born. In your design is these intricate patterns that make you exceptional, extraordinary, give you the position to be an opportunity to be phenomenal. And that's what makes you special, but you have to see your life through the eyes of God, the way God intended it, the way God gave you gifts, not how other people are judging you, not by earning the approbation and approval and validation from other people, but by understanding that God placed you here to make an impact on this world. And that when you see that responsibility that God gave you, before you see the need to serve yourself, before you see the need to ask somebody else what they think about you, when you see God thought enough of me to give me my own purpose, and I have the ability to work that out here on in this life. That's where it starts. That's the value. Again, I'm going to stress this, and then I'm going to get off of here. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and then I'm off. None of this what I said means that you're going to get it figured out, and then life is just going to be all great, peaches and creams, and everything's good. Life is a continuum. I've said that in the beginning. You've got to work through it. You got to trust and believe in your purpose. You got to trust and believe in the power of God. You got to trust and believe in your connectivity and your relationship with God. You have to be willing to see, even in the darkest moments when it doesn't look like anything is going your way, that you still have promise in your life. With that being said, I'm going to get off of here. And I want you to really trust your design. I tell people all the time, your design is indicative of your purpose. Anything you look at that you have laying around your office, your house, you look at it, if you study it long enough, it'll kind of tell you what it's designed for. The purpose is hidden in the design. The design is indicative of the purpose. If you look at yourself and you look at how you, don't look at how you're like everybody else. Look at how you're different, because that's where your power lies. All of us have commonalities, but it's in the uniqueness of our design that our genius is hid, that our gift is hid, that our talent is hid. That's where your value comes from, because nobody else has it but you. With that being said, I'm out of here. You guys have an awesome day. Don't forget, pre-order I Am. Get it at a discounted price, but also get a free 30-minute breakthrough session with yours truly. And let's make some great things happen in this world. The world needs us to be at our best. We were put here to make an impact, and that's what we need to be doing. With that being said, I'm out of here.